Today's episode describes the events that led to the killings of more than 25,000 Tutsis at Kibeho Catholic Church in Nyaruguru. Those who had taken refuge at the church and the buildings of Kibeho Parish managed to ward off the killers for 2 days, but reinforcement from gendarmes and Interahamwe from neighbouring sectors made the fight impossible. April 14th, 1994. Massacres perpetrated against the Tutsi in the former Kigaringari, Gikongoro, Kibuye, Kibungo, and Nyaruguru prefectures. The massacres of Tutsis at ADPR Maheresho, Nyamagabe. On April 14th, 1994, the massacres of Tutsis began in Maheresho, where victims were killed by Interahamwe and gendarmes called to the task by Hategekimana Didas, mayor of Rukundo commune. That day, at the home of parents of the Minister of Agriculture and Livestock, Nzamurambo Frederic, who was also among the leaders of PSD, more than 37 Tutsi who had fled there hoping to find safety were killed. Among those responsible for these massacres is Burugumestre Hategekimana Didas, Munyambunga Jean-Baptiste, MDR representative in Rukundo commune, his son Twagiramungu Jean, leader of the Interahamwe youth, Kajimbura Martin, Deputy President of MDR in Rukundo Commune, and teacher Munjandinda Joel. Inspector of Primary School, Rukundo. Nyagatare Cyprien, teacher. Hakizayezu Jean. Mageza Onesphore. Bukeye Alphonse. Gashugi Damien. Nahamagaze Marcel, Naomagaze Antoine, and others. The massacres were committed by these killers and gendarmes who had come from Gikongoro, Gendarmerie. The massacres of Tutsis who had taken refuge at the Mata Tea Factory, Nyamagabe. On April 14, 1994, killings began for the Tutsis who had taken refuge at the Mata Tea Factory and others who lived nearby. The victims who had been identified and whose bodies lie in the genocide memorial of this factory amount to 380. Among those responsible for the massacres, there is the sous-préfet of Munini, Binigadamie, Ndabarinze Juvenal, director of Mata Tea Factory, Mugirangabo Silas, Burugumestre of Rwamiko Commune, Hakizimana Sylvestre, President of MDR Power in Rwamiko Commune, Sergume Sylvestre, Chairman of MRND, Muriro, Chairman of CDR, Museruka, OPG in Rwamiko Commune, and other Interahamwe. The massacres of Tutsis who had taken refuge at Gati sector, Rwamagana. On April 14, 1994, Tutsis were killed at Gati sector of the Rwamagana district. The massacres were led by Rutagengwa Jean-Marie Vianney, who was the head of MRND in the area. He is the one who incited people to kill Tutsis in Gati. The Interahamwe whom he led asked him for permission to check the identity of Consensa Mukandori, a Tutsi. They wanted to examine what the brains of a Tutsi looked like. He gave them authorization, and the victim's head was cut off to examine her brain. Rwabukame, Consensa's husband, was also immediately killed. Among the killers were Bigabiro Joshua, Kabugari, Nibivugire, and the then director of Gati School. The massacres of Tutsi in Birambo, Karongi. On April 14, 1994, Tutsis who had taken refuge in the school of Birambo Sisters of Benebikira community were attacked by Interahamwe, soldiers, and gendarmes led by the Burugumestre of Bwakira commune, Kabasha Tarsis. They were killed with guns, machetes, spears, grenades, and other weapons. More than 5,000 Tutsis were killed there. Numerous bodies of victims were burnt with gasoline, and pits were dug near the school building in which the bodies of the victims were thrown. As there were too many bodies, another grave was dug near the Urumuri school. Local traders' vehicles transported the lifeless bodies to pits. The massacres of Tutsis at Kibeho Catholic Church, Nyaruguru. On April 14, 1994, at the Kibeho Church, Interahamwe and local authorities exterminated more than 25,000 Tutsis who had taken refuge at the church and in the building of Kibeho Parish. The Tutsis first defended themselves using traditional weapons within their reach and were able to repel the attacks on April 12, 1994. The Interahamwe of Kibeho went to seek reinforcement, and the authorities of Munini sous-prefecture, led by sous-préfet Binigadamie, helped them to mobilize gendarmes and other Interahamwe from Mata, Ruramba, Mudasomwa, and elsewhere, who attacked the Tutsi refugees with the firearms and grenades. The attack started at 1 p.m. and lasted till evening. Father Pierre Ngoga asked the survivors of these massacres to consider fleeing to Burundi and took some in his vehicle and brought them to Utare, where he was assassinated, betrayed by his colleague Father Anaclese Bahinde, who was originally from Kibeho. Among the killers in Kibeho, there is the sous-prefet Damien Veniga, the burgomaster of Mubuga, Charles Nyiridandi, the burgomaster of Rwamiko, Sirias Bugirangabo, Juvenal Navarinze, director of Matati Factory, agronomist Bakundukize Innocent, Father Emmanuel Wayezu, who led the groupe scolaire Marie Merci of Kibeho, medical assistant Mutezihana Nathaniel, Kaigamba François Savier, the director of studies at groupe scolaire Marie Merci, Karekezi Fabien, director of discipline of the same school, Fatikaramu Hormis Das, a teacher in the same school, Anataz Sawa, a municipal police officer, and others. The massacres of Tutsi in Munyiginya sector, Rwamagana sector. In Munyiginya sector, a place called Sai is located at the crossroad of the power lines that serve the district of Rwamagana. In 1994, the place was heavily guarded by gendarmes. When the genocide broke out, Tutsis from Munyiginya took refuge in Sai, hoping that the soldiers who guarded the place would protect them. From 10th to 12th April 1994, many Tutsis, including women and children, took refuge there, and more than 100 of them were killed. During the night of April 14, 1994, Tutsis who had taken refuge there were killed by Interahamwe, together with government soldiers who were present. The massacres of Tutsis at Kibungo sector, Ngoma. On April 14, 1994, around 8 a.m., a group of Interahamwe militiamen armed with various weapons entered in Kibungo hospital and brought out those who had taken refuge there, hiding in the hospital's maternity ward, and made them sit under a tree at a place called Muduha until 10 a.m. At this time, they had not been touched yet. The killers wanted to know the exact number to come back to later massacre them. At around 3 p.m., the Interahamwe returned and began killing the Tutsi refugees, notably throwing grenades at them, as they did against those who had taken refuge at Birenga commune offices. The next day, April 15, 1994, a group of killers led by the fearsome Interahamwe, Chiasa, sent teams to kill in different places, at the hospital in Ruchira, at the Economa General, and elsewhere. Interahamwe Shumbusho, Birasa, and others boasted of their sinister exploits at Birenga commune and at the Economa General. Interahamwe militia killed those in the hospital, including Marie and her little sister Nyirangware, who are daughters of Gatare, Mukanguranga, and others who had come from Kazo and Karama. On April 21, 1994, RPF Ingotanyi troops arrived at the hospital and were able to rescue the few who had survived the killings. The RPF soldiers brought other survivors to Kibungo Hospital to provide them with the necessary care. Thank you for listening to another episode of Kwibuka Podcast. As always, make sure you leave us a review, sharing what you like about the podcast, and share with others who would be interested in listening.